Hey, welcome everyone. I've got a great guest today. Nicki has been in HR quite some time, is a leader in their space, is now doing fractional work. And there's a lot of things that I want you guys to learn from Nicki because I think many of you are in the same spaces. And if you haven't, you will be. She's going to share a sort of yellow brick road of how she got to where she is today. So, Nicki, give us a quick intro about you and how you got into HR.
Thank you so much. I was actually working in hospitality, high school and college, and made the decision that I really liked working with people, training people. And so I went for my MBA. I decided, hey, I'm going to do a concentration in HR. And honestly, it was meant to be because I've been super happy in the function. And I would say that my customers, my business partners, always feel that I was made to do this work.
Tell me about your recent jump, if you will. It's almost like walking the plank on a pirate ship and you're just diving in. Tell me what led you to go fractional and
Yeah.
do your own thing.
Thank you. It's been on my heart for a while. I've been very fortunate to have a 20-year plus career in corporate and three great companies with opportunities for growth and advancement. But I think I'm an entrepreneur by heart. My dad owned his own business as well. So I think it's probably genetic, if you can say that. I felt that I could make a greater impact with more companies. I think that there is an opportunity in corporate America or in smaller businesses where they could use a permanent but part-time person. They don't have the need, can't afford a full-time person, but there's so much great work that can be done. I also think there's a lot we can do in regards to culture and helping them retain great talent as well. And so it was really on my heart when I made a job change earlier this year. I decided to go all in on myself.
And how's it been going so far?
It's amazing. A number of networking conversations, the support that my network has given me. So many people have said, if anyone's going to do this, it's going to be you. I've just really felt supported. I'm in the Twin Cities, and there are so many great people, HR professionals that want to lean in, that are doing the same thing, but are willing to share their notes and how they got there. No one's in this mind of scarcity. It's all abundance and the belief that there's more than enough companies that need our support.
Oh, yeah. I've been an entrepreneur since I was delivering papers when I was 12. I truly believe that mindset, especially in HR, you can completely understand your industry functions and compliance within, I say, the Twin Cities and multiple states. But two different people are going to look at it different ways, and their experience in, hey, we're in growth or we're in a pullback. Totally different experiences, life experiences too. Yeah, I think that's what's great about the HR community. Overall, yes, we do a lot of the same things. We're not all innovative in doing certain crazy things, but there's lessons that have to be learned and they have to be continued. And it doesn't really matter the company. You still have to be compliant and you still have to get payroll out every 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
So let me ask this. I know you just had your first podcast. Tell me how that went and what did you learn from that experience?
It was great. I really appreciated the opportunity to talk about what I'm passionate about, the space of HR, to get on a platform and say, I'm building my business. I'm open to support small businesses. I know how much goes into it that happens behind the scenes, whether it's finding the guests, the production of it, and everything that you have to do to continue to grow your audience. So I would just really appreciate the opportunity to share what I have to think. And I really enjoy it. So thanks again.
Yeah. When we were talking in the green room, you had mentioned the flip from being an employee to being your own boss. And then we also talked about it's different for a woman coming up through the corporate ranks and files. And then we talked about employee burnout. Give me some insights into your side from maybe not specific companies, but I've had a couple of guests that have said in the past, burnout in their employees when they just started looking at them. You get that little bug in your ear. You're like, why are people so frustrated about certain things? One of them came down to just internal processes. The biggest thing that got, like, people were nervous or it's not my specialty, but I have to do it. And it was the hard stuff. And then they had to wait for somebody else. Those processes were some of the biggest lags on people's morale. And that's only one example, but what's been your example or things that you've seen where morale it causes problems for the employees, but also the company because people leave with all of your knowledge base?
Yeah, I think there's a high level of burnout right now. We've seen people getting through COVID. There were huge changes in how we work. Now companies are asking employees to come back on site. And I understand collaboration, the desire to work together. I'm a big extrovert. Meeting people face to face is important. But people have learned to live their lives, whether it's raising children, taking care of aging parents, balancing their careers. and they're burnt out. And so I do think some of it is expectations at work. To your point, lack of lean processes or understanding how processes impact employees. Doing more with less. A lot of companies have had to make hard choices to cut roles, but they haven't necessarily cut the work or changed the work and the way the employees work.
Yep.
I also think there's a larger burden on women because of the dynamics with raising children, trying to pursue a career. And then if you get women into their 40s, they're also going through perimenopause, which has a lot of changes in their body that I don't think are truly understood even by the medical community at times. And so you're just seeing a high burnout. And when you look at the largest companies, there are very few women that are leading those companies because women usually take a decision to whether stay home and raise their children or just stop growing their career because they're burnt out, they're tired. And again, not to minimize men's role in their family or in burnout in work, but I just have seen so much in women that I think that there is things that women specifically can do to create boundaries for themselves, to take better care of themselves, to ask for help at work, to ask for help at home, and to really work on some of their own mindset and belief in themselves. They can still have the career. They can still do the things, be the parent they want to be or be the person they want to be at home, maybe even taking care of aging parents, as I mentioned. But it does take some work and it does take some saying no. And sometimes the no is work. Sometimes it's putting boundaries around the hours you work or when you need to step away to be present for your family. I think if we can create a culture and a community at work where this is allowed, people are going to be able to produce more because they're going to be happier. They're going to stay longer in their jobs. And ultimately, it's a win-win for the employee and the company.
Give me 3 examples of things that you would say, even if you're coaching HR managers or HR business process teams, what kind of impact could they have on these topics right now? Say you're on this podcast, here's your group, 30 HR business partners and HR managers. What are 3 tips you could tell them? Hey, here's how you can start.
Yeah, I really think when I look at HR business partner, the opportunity they have to impact the business is huge. Working with senior leaders on the dynamics with one-on-ones and team meetings where you're building trust, where employees feel comfortable having discussions with leaders to help support an employee. And it doesn't feel overly emotional or overly burdened. I think that's super important. I also think HR business partners, when they look at what resources do their organizations have around culture, it could be an employee engagement survey where they're looking at what does that feedback look like. It could be exit interviews. Is there anything in there that shows what's working well, what's not working well in their organization? And then lastly, they have the opportunity to build trust with managers and employees in the organization so that they are a resource when an individual doesn't feel they can go to their direct manager. I do think it's important that we always encourage employees to work with their leadership, but being a strong HR business partner, getting to know the business and building trust so that you're another resource is super important as well.
All right. That's just awesome stuff. Let me ask you a question about, because I haven't worked in a big company in a long time. In fact, I think I've only worked for a company for maybe 4 years of my entire career. I've always been the founder or on the founding team. So my experience has been consulting where you get to drop in and see and fix, but you don't own anything. In my own companies, what I've realized is that having structured one-on-ones is probably the best way to align directives between the two of you, keep on top of them, and really grow in the right direction. Here's when you can understand the North Star of your employee and the North Star of the company, you can create alignment. Now, that alignment's not always going to be there because say, like at some point you said, hey, I want to go do my own thing because I'm at this point in my life. Your North Star is diverting. And that's fine. I think that the question from a leader's standpoint is if this is the right person for the role, where's their North Star and where's mine? And how long can we keep them aligned?
Yeah, having regular one-on-ones, weekly or bi-weekly, depending on the role and the independence and where they're at and understanding their role. Really important. I always say let the employee drive the one-on-one. What do they need from you? And then you maybe have a short list of things to follow up on. If the person's not performing, the structure might change a little. Monthly team meetings are super important because the dynamics of that team to build the trust and alignment is important. And then in addition to all of that, making sure you're having separate career conversations. I recommend quarterly, driven by the employee. The manager needs to come prepared with feedback, needs to come prepared to support development. Doesn't mean the manager has all the ideas, but they have to be able to guide the person. What do they want in their career? Where are they going? If they don't have the answers, pull in your HR business partner, have your HR business partner help you guide that employee to where they want to go. And granted, you don't hold the keys to the castle. It's not always your decision if they get promoted. But I think people feeling they're believed in and that leader is helping them get there in a really honest way is important. And I think the last piece is radical candor. And that's really the idea of building trust with people, but also being honest. Because if you don't have both, you're going to feel like it's passive aggressive. Maybe you feel like your leader's absent. So really building authentic trust with people where you can't tell them everything. There are going to be things that you just can't tell them. But where can you be transparent? When you can be authentic? Where are you approachable? So that when you do have to give them hard feedback, they trust it's coming from the right place.
Yeah. I love your structure where you broke out. Here's the quarterly. Here's the monthly team meeting. Here's the one-on-one schedule. I don't know if this even exists because I just created my own and I've talked to other leaders and managers about this. Have you followed any kind of structure or frameworks on how to do one-on-ones?
Oh, that's a great question. It's something I always really coach to do it. And I think depends on the work. The more tactical the work, I think the more prescribed the one-on-ones are and the more strategic the work depends on the flow of where the work is going. I also encourage HR business partners to have structured meetings with leaders on a regular basis. That regular basis depends on the team size, organizational structure, and things like that. But in your touching base, you're not just saying, oh, I'm available when you need me, because you talk about more things, whether it's a one-on-one with the direct report or a one-on-one with the HR business partner or manager, than if you were just to say we're going to do it as needed, because then you're only talking about the thing that's needed and you're not building a stronger relationship and you're probably missing out on things that need to be talked about. Yeah, I guess I haven't really, besides that radical candor, that's a Kim Scott resource. I would definitely suggest that. I don't have a recommendation for a structure around our knowledge base around one-on-ones.
Yeah, it's interesting. I ask that question occasionally up to any kind of manager too, to figure out where they are. And I think I read this in a book over time. It really came down to 4 questions. Every employee asks, what do you want me to do? How am I doing at that? Where's my career going? How can we help each other? And then the 4th one is where it's the manager asking is, how can I support you? Those, and they could be in any kind of format, depending, as you mentioned, the leadership position, strategy, tactical. And then I've seen just some crazy stuff lately, the stuff that gets me excited is building AI tools that actually, so instead of going in, okay, hey, we're going to have it next week. This is what you said you're going to do. This is what we said we're going to work on. Here's stuff. If everyone got that right after the meeting, so all the notes, we got all these transcribers, right? Got the notes, but it's transcribed into a one-on-one format. And then it was like, hey, you had this, and here's the to-dos, and here's my to-dos, here's yours. And a week before, we both get messages that says, oh, here's what I'm going to have my one-on-one with Nicki next Monday. What do I have to make sure that I've worked with her on? If we can create those as assets within our team, then we have an asset in the company. And when you have an asset in the company, it's actually something that's of value to both people.
I'm a big fan of AI. I think there's lots of ways we can leverage it to make us stronger. I don't think it's going to replace all our jobs, though, but I think it can allow us to be more efficient, be more organized, be able to spend more time on the important things, whether it's being strategic, having important conversations. So I'm a big fan of the AI. I just used it today to send my daughter an email at camp. I wanted a Bible verse and some thoughts to go after it. And I changed it to make sure it felt like me. I was able to send her something super thoughtful that I think will be really meaningful when she gets it.
I love it. I probably should tell every guest, I'm going to ask you about AI and how you're.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah. But I'll go deeper on it too. Have you had an aha moment with AI where you're like, well, this is totally different. This is not just writing emails.
It's more hearing other people's use cases. Like I had someone recently share a story. I'm in direct sales and it's going to write my post or I'm going to write that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I like the idea that you had talked about taking the notes and then planning some. I haven't done that as much, so I love that. I thought about the tools where they take notes like Fathom or Fireflies taking notes during meetings. I need to leverage that. But someone recently said she uses it to write bedtime stories for her son. So she says, McDonald likes trains. He is scared of the dark right now. Like she just gave some things that he's going on. He isn't being very nice to his little sister right now. And so she had ChatGPT write her a bedtime story for her son that had all the things he liked, but also the expectations she had of him and where she maybe wanted to feel more safe in his room when it was dark. And I was like, light bulb went up. My kids are older. They're teenagers, but I just thought that was a really great way to leverage it. So just hearing other people's use cases are really inspiring to me. I've done them for recipes and planning a trip that have been really great.
That's amazing because I think AI adoption in the workplace is being hindered. My theory, based on a lot of research, is that AI adoption is never going to improve in a corporation or get to an ROI if it's being run by the CIO. It's great. We're going to give everyone Microsoft Word. Okay, next. That does nothing. It's a tool.
Yeah.
And until the individuals know how to use it, there is no return on investment.
Yeah.
And your examples of a mom doing it individually at home and then getting triggered like yourself, wow, that's interesting. And then getting to the point of, I have a HR business, like you're going to have a client. Right? I have a client that's got this situation. How can I support?
Yeah.
I think that's where it's got to go, but we've got to get people in all walks of life, all parts of the business that are the subject matter experts in their space, using their knowledge in the company to optimize what they're currently doing and what the company's doing.
We need to give them time to do it too. That's a little bit to what we
Yeah.
talked about before, right? I think we've really packed our organizations tight with resources and not taking a lot off of plates where we're not giving people a lot of time to be creative, even in their own space, much less with AI.
Yeah, it has to be like that. You have to have the enablement. Here's a tool, but if you're like, I already gave you 60 hours worth of work a week and you're trying to do it in 40 or 50 or all weekend, then it's, I can't put another 5 in to try to figure this out every week.
Yeah.
So I think that's where, again, my opinion, without corporate leadership and a vision, no one's going to get involved. Very few, unless they're already internally motivated techie folks like myself. I'm just going to fix this. Like, it is going to take me 8 hours every single week. I'm going to spend 8 hours to try to fix it. So next week it's 6 hours. And then if I put another hour, I can get to 4 hours. And then get to 2 hours. And then I don't have to do it at all because I can give my custom GPT to an employee to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's what it takes. The adoption starts when you look at that little window and say, what do you type in there? And then
It's teaching people, to your point, what to type. Don't just write me, like, you actually need to and have it get to know you so it knows your voice and what do you like and don't like, and give it permission to ask you questions so that it writes it even better. There's things that you can really learn with how to actually write the initial command. And then don't accept what they write. Sometimes I take it, rewrite it, and then say, okay, polish it up, or you missed this, or write it in a different, I need to have it in third person or first person or whatever.
So have you used it with any of your clients yet? Just
been using it. Yeah. I've been using it to come up with proposal ideas, formatting, pricing. I've had it come up with business development. What is my target? Who would be the best person to help me network with some of these business owners from a fractional perspective?
And then, so we had talked a little bit about the difference as a woman coming up in corporate America versus a male. What are some, and you give us some kind of 3 tips from a HR business partner, how to manage through that. What are some of the ways now as a fractional HR leader, do you see that as an issue when you're trying to get to the male CEO or founder or business owner and you're trying to sell to them? Because now you have a different role and it's not within the company, but over the last, say, 15 years of your career or whatnot, it's been you in the company and you didn't have to sell from an HR standpoint or market yourself. So have you seen like that kind of come up from a personal side?
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that. So that is usually a large transition for people moving out of corporate and now they need to sell services. I'm fortunate enough that I've done direct sales for the last 15 years. I'm actually someone who, as much as I love HR, I am motivated by the ability to earn more the more you work. So I always have felt like I have this blend of how do I leverage HR, but still have this sales element because I enjoy that. So to me right now, it's just getting close enough to that client, that person, and what is the right way to do that. There's obviously LinkedIn, but I think the biggest piece is leveraging your network, getting in through that referral piece where someone's saying, hey, business owner, I see you have a need, or it looks like you're struggling, or you're asking for help. Here's who I would recommend, and I'm recommending Nicki because of this. And those are the ways that I'm really trying to lean into my network now.
Do you attend local SHRM events too?
I do SHRM events, and I've actually, because I have the space and time as I'm building up my clients, I'm looking at a lot of different networking opportunities with startups and different spaces to say like where, because you also ultimately I'm going to have to decide where do I want to spend my time. I can't do
Yeah.
all of it right now. I have the
Yeah.
time. It's I'm really just trying to say like where am I seeing the relationships develop quickly? And there's also Chamber of Commerce in some of the cities as well. Are those smart to get involved in?
All right. We're just about out of time. Thank you very much for being on. I love the topic, and especially as a female looking at the little chat window and getting absorbed in the story of your friend who was writing a child story. I hope that others get that same inspiration, like same instead of you just heard from one person. Now you hear maybe your voice gets the 50 HR leaders the same way. So how can people find you and reach out if they want to learn more about your company, your business, and what you're doing?
Yeah, thank you so much. So my website is peopleSolutionsHub.co. So reach out there and get a hold of me. I have all of my services for fractional, interim, and project work needed for HR consulting.
Awesome. And we'll put that in the show notes as well. And again, thank you so much. It's just been amazing.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity and look forward to hearing the podcast when it comes out.
Awesome. All right.
Thanks for spending your time here with GoHire Talks and listening to our guests. My intention has always been to create incredible content to help you in your career in recruiting, marketing, business, and leadership. We appreciate all of the insights and feedback you provide. If you've got guests you'd like us to have on the show, please let us know. Again, thank you for all your support.